This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. This is my review of Australia versus Georgia. Australia started the game really well. Georgia a little bit cold, arriving over there for the first time in Australia. It took a bit of time to warm up, and Australia made the most of it. Again, a few tries early in the first half. Bobby V, Valentini, been such a great leader under Joe Schmidt, and I think he really responds to this new leadership role that he's obviously been given, and the ceiling, the potential he has is off the charts. So I'm interested to see how his next couple of seasons go. Gets a try, a couple more tries. Georgia do respond, and they're still in the match at 19-3 with about 5-10 minutes to go in the half, and then Georgia spins the ball out, and it's a clear try, but the referee pulls it back for a forward pass, and I'm thinking, oh no, the referee is not in on stunting Georgia's kind of progress in this match. But it turned out to be all right actually, and it wasn't a big deal. Georgia do power over, and they get a try, 19-10, and there's only a few minutes left on the clock. Australia respond well, as they did all match actually. That was a pleasing thing for them. Every time they were put under pressure, they responded really well, and players took it on their shoulders to actually change the game back in their favour, to switch the momentum. So that was great for Australia. They attack the Georgian line hard, but cough it up, get the ball back, and a rolling maul and a try for McWright, who had a pretty spectacular game, I'm going to be honest, in the back row. It's kicked for 26-10, and the halftime whistle blows, so good lead for Australia going into the halftime whistle. Into the halftime break, and one of my favourite things about this match was the commentators, namely Sonny Bill and Justin Harrison. Justin Harrison is a fantastic rugby brain actually. He makes really astute kind of commentary on the game, but just his voice, he sounds like an executioner from the Middle Ages or something like that. He's really off-putting. And then Sonny Bill is like the complete opposite. You can tell he picked one point or talking point before the match, and he's just stuck to it, and he's just talking to all the bros in the audience. So there's a nice contrast between the two, and I like that. There's a bit of variety in the commentary for the games. You know, you do want the guys to be like 100% like professional all the time. So that was very entertaining throughout the match. One of the big talking points from the first half was the yellow carding and eventual red carding of the Australian fullback. I've got mixed feelings about this one. The Georgian winger kind of chips over and puts a kind of deep kick in, and the fullback tries to charge it down. He raises his knee, hands up, but the Georgian guy seems to like just run into his knee, I gotta be honest. And like when I grew up, that's how you're told to kind of field high balls, is put your knee up. Don't have to do the action, I guess, but you put your knee up in order to defend yourself, you know what I mean? And so he had good technique, and I think the Georgian guy could have done more to get out of the way. So as I say, he did make contact with the head, so by the letter of the law, I think it was a yellow card at least, but an eventual red card, I'm not sure. But interesting one. So you're not allowed to raise your knee anymore when you go up in the air, because I think that was like a protection, you know, and made people trying to take you out second guess if they were trying to take your legs or something. But I guess the game has changed. So he gets a red. So the commentators finally have their red card, so they can talk about the 20-minute red card rule, which was introduced from Super Rugby and has been trialled now in international level. It has been at the under 20s, so I think it worked out pretty well actually. You know, it kept the game kind of interesting and flowing. So yeah, not a bad first outing for that particular low. So the Georgians have their tails up definitely, and they're really getting stuck into the Australian players, and they make a break, and one of the best plays I've ever seen. The Georgian player side foots it onto the heel of Donaldson, gets a ricochet, and then scoots over under the post for a try. Pure genius, but of course I'm joking. It was so like fortuitous, so lucky that yeah. But you think at that point though, you know, Georgia are in with a shout now, you know, because obviously the rugby gods are favouring them today. So yeah, Australia definitely on the back foot. So 26-17 again, Australia respond very well. They've run hard and direct, short passes, taking it up the guts all day, and they get to the Georgian line. But the Georgian players turn it over. I think it was Carver, yeah, Matt Carver, who is like a savant, like he's next level. He's only like young, he's like in his early 20s, but he looks like he's like 56. And but he's a phenomenal player. He's one to watch for the future, I think. But yeah, he turns it over, and Georgia ran it out from their try line, and the winger is terrible catching technique. He just about holds on to it, kicks it forward, and again a bounce once in a 100, once in a million times, bounce straight into his arms, and not just into his arm but under his arm. And you notice later on that's the only way he carries the ball, and he goes straight in under his arm, and he just flies over for a try. So Georgia now 26-24, absolutely unbelievable. What a game. So Australia visibly rattled now, and understandably so. You know, they had a comfortable lead, and now it's like 2 points in it. But what they need to do is kind of, I think, settle down, play the territory game, and you know, just see out the time until they get the man on the pitch. The Georgians, however, are flying up in the tackle, and like they're really over exuberant. And get too excited a little bit, and they cough up a lot of penalties from being offside, and eventually the ref punishes them big time and gives a yellow card. So it's down to 14, and that kind of levels the playing field. So from this point on, I think it wakes Australia up a little bit, and particularly the pack in the back row. They kind of take on more responsibility for the winning of the game, which I'm always happy to see, because ultimately that's where the game is won and lost. And the back row was great, the Queenslanders in the back row, and then combined with Valentini, they make a fantastic break from their own 22 and get over for a brilliant try. Valentini gets it for his second try, I think, of the match. But yeah, that was kind of the story of the match. Georgia did get a couple more tries, a couple of good ones from that winger who got the bounce, and again carrying it under one arm. He never uses two hands. And yeah, Frost, McWright and Valentini, and that's a tasty back row, I gotta be honest. Particularly McWright, he's a future captain, I think, of this Australian side. And Australia, I can be very happy with how they played. Temperament-wise, when they were put under pressure, they responded in kind, and that's what you want to see from particularly your forwards. You know, scrum and line-out went well. The back row was ferocious, particularly in the last 20 minutes, and they really won them the game. As far as Georgia concerned, I love Georgia. You know what I mean? They're just like a throwback to the old school, and but they played some good rugby too. So exceptional game, I think, for the spectator. And yeah, Australia have South Africa next in the Rugby Championship, so that's going to be epic. They are playing at home, and South Africa don't have a good record over in Australia. So based on how well their set piece went, Australia, and they maul defense and they maul attack from the line out, I'm hoping they can give South Africa a good test. So yeah, again, these little games, which I thought were going to be nothing, have really amped up my excitement for the Rugby Championship. So yeah, let's go. Well played Australia, well played Georgia, and yeah, very enjoyable match. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next one.